Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to all the CPTM Smart Partners and CPTM members from the CPTM Smart Partners Hub in London. Today is 18th of October, Friday, and it's very early morning for some people. Our team already started from about kind of 8:30 in the morning. It's 9:25 here. And the purpose of today's webcast is to mark again a countdown towards the think tanking that is taking place, followed by AGM in the week of November, first week of November, just before the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting which takes place in Sri Lanka the week after. There are three purposes of the today discussion. The major one is to try to get a feel for what do we all want to achieve, those who are present and those who are virtually participating during the 2013 think tanking at the hub of the CPTM Smart Partners. And the second one is how might the 3 days look like, the 6th, 7th and 8th of November, and the last one, the various smart reading tips, which I will select only one or two, otherwise they will be put into the email, and I hope you make the best of them. Week of 21st, next week of October, followed by another 1 week, the 29th. I hope that will mark the various interactions that we invited you to do in the country context. We thought that we're very active in the CPTM Smart Partnership framework are countries such as Botswana, Cameroon, Lesotho, Mauritius, Mozambique, Namibia, Seychelles, Swaziland, Uganda, Zambia, Zimbabwe, obviously Tanzania. Then within the European Mediterranean web, we have Malta, Jordan and Cyprus. Within the Caribbean North American web, some of the most active groups are in Antigua, Barbados, Jamaica, St. Lucia, of course, Trinidad, Tobago, Grenada, of course also in Canada. So there are groups of smart partners, CPTM members, who either have been part and parcel of developing the strategic smart partnership framework, which has been the basis of the dialogue in Dar es Salaam, or there are smart partners who are directly engaged in implementing, having to deliver particular policy frameworks into a interconnected way among government departments and including interface with private sector and other groups. So a little bit about the again about this unique framework that CPTM Smart Partners have evolved from real-time situations through individuals who have been engaged in various strategic initiatives, but then by the time we reached Dar es Salaam, they were put together and validated through the presence of a number of heads of government and central bank governors and Bureau of Standards, as well as science advisors and technology institutions. This framework here is ready for the think tanking that is going to take place next week, Thursday, in Seychelles. The smart partners in Seychelles, they've been trying since 2011, when the president and the whole country initiated Seychelles 2020. They've been trying to deliver in various ways, in a smart partnership way, that vision. And next week, as I understand, there will be a think tanking with the participation of key people who are involved, both in government and outside, ministers, civil servants, smart partners links of various types, in trying to see in what way Seychelles will succeed by trying to implement the Vision 2020, or to carry it forward through the CPTM smart partners algorithm of how countries can succeed rather than fail. So in the next few days, I will try to interact with Ambassador Barry Ford and his team in Seychelles to try to prepare that discussion that they will have next week, and which will be probably related to all of us, shared with us in the first week of November. Similarly, I understand that in Namibia, for instance, Dr. Angolo, Hank Skuman, and all the rest of the team, Rose, they are trying to similarly do preparation for the interactions, and specifically to Namibia. And the same, I understand, it's taking place in Uganda, in Cyprus, in Mozambique, and a few other countries. But I would like to remind all of us that the inclusion, the inclusivity that smart partnership framework is promoting cannot take place without developing and maintaining a collaborative framework within the country itself among the key areas and institutions. And those particular institutions who are involved, they are formal institutions, and they are probably carrying forward policies and frameworks which are related to a national vision, and which vision is either made explicit, such as in Botswana, National Vision 2016, or in Seychelles 2020, or in St. Lucia 2020, and so on. So the specificity and uniqueness of the delivery of the algorithm of how nations fail, how nations succeed rather than fail, is probably the most important asset, intellectual property, intellectual equity, that the smart partnership movement and CPTM is assisting to be carried forward at this point of time. Not only in our own context, they are discussed and related as the most important issues currently in the global context. They were discussing about these issues in World Bank on how to share prosperity. Only yesterday there was a very useful kind of assessment on how to enhance the delivery of shared prosperity now for then, as Ben Hammersley was telling us, now for vision for long term. And there are two. This is the recent report, which was only launched yesterday, not very far from CPTM Smart Partners Hub, and which among other things, they mentioned that institutions, inclusion and networks are the name of the game currently to deliver anything that through the current economic development, both in developing countries as well as in a shared way globally, can be seen only as limitless opportunities, but limitless opportunities, unless they are being fit into an inclusivity framework, and the inclusivity framework is being built into the current institutions, which are most of the time outdated, and which can only be used if networks are evolving. But the networks have to be smart partnership type of networks, where CPTM and smart partnership movement have been kind of making a tremendous contribution since 1995. So here we are, is a golden opportunity that we do have following the Global 2013 Smart Partnership Dialogue in Dar es Salaam, where the algorithm on how to, the Smart Partners algorithm on how to get countries to succeed rather than fail has been validated, and it required to be put in action in various countries and contexts. Now, this is what will be probably the basis of the discussions that the smart partnership groups will need to have next week, and hopefully there will be feedback from those by the time we are going to be all together here present or virtually in November. Those particular that particular triangle, which is formed of technology, finance, and quality and standards inclusion, obviously a number of dimensions required to be more looked into in depth, or to add particular issues which we are unable to do so during an international dialogue. The international dialogues of Smart Partnership Movement are celebration and festivals of what everybody achieves, new ideas, with everybody as far as possible present. The think tanking at the hub are only beneficial if there are think tanking type of interactions based on real-time situations within the countries. So one of the further issues in relation to technology inclusion is the issue of innovation. The language that all the governments embraced in the last few years is innovation. The innovation is a very vague concept. So is inclusivity. But the inclusivity we dealt with, and hopefully we are going to make it operative in smart partnership context. But the innovation, I think, has to be looked at in a quite careful way. Otherwise, the vagueness of the concept will not allow us to measure any progress in relation to what one may refer to as innovation. There are innovation policies, that there are innovation within the government structures, within the civil service, etc. So that will be one of the things that we will try to do during the think tanking. The other thing that we may try to do is to look at the need for a balance between security and privacy online, and this comes by the way of obviously one of the major preoccupation of all the governments that they are developed or emerging is being the issue of cybersecurity. And of course the issue of cybersecurity is related to technology. And that was one of the issues that we put on the agenda in the dialogue in Dar es Salaam, but we need to go further in detail during the think tanking. in London. Obviously, the science advice, the issue of science advice, the issue of science advisor's office, the science advice within all the government structures, within the private sector and within the and outside the traditional structure that one refers to for science. The issue of how one integrates science advice through networking among the all those who need to be part of is essential. So we will try to go a bit further into how these issues could be made operative. Then, obviously, one of the excuse for most of the governments that they are developed or developing, civil servants, politicians, etc., is that the world is becoming more complex. You hear that everywhere. There is complexity we are dealing with, interconnectedness we are dealing with. So what's the point, in a way, to deal with anything else except to restate all the time how complex everything is? The smart partnership actually framework, because of the smart partners values, because of the smart partners ideas which come within those, by the way, of those values among smart partners, and because of the delivery that, a smart delivery that emerges from that, makes things very simple. In fact, if there is anything else that smart partnership could be associated with, is simplicity. Simplicity both on delivery, on ideas, and also on values. The values are in limitless opportunities, through smart partnerships. They are human values. Unfortunately, because of this ongoing context of being overburdened with the complexity of new issues that emerge and the impact of technology, most of the operative structures are almost static. So the smart partnership is movement is trying to actually make things simple, both at the country level as well as in between the countries. Also, the smart partnership group is an open group. Open in many ways, but open particularly in relation to blunders that are taking place, and which are probably some of them inevitable. And one doesn't need to look at them as lessons and mistakes and all the rest of it. There are inevitable blunders within the institutions that smart partners are engaged in, and which probably can be dealt with in an open way and just being put at experience level rather than restart again whatever structure that was not fit for the purpose, either for standards or for technology or for national vision or the financial inclusion. The 3 days will cover probably specifically a few of the situations that are taking place in selected countries, selected by those who are more active. There is nobody who is selecting the country. So, for instance, obviously Seychelles will be one of the countries. I understand Botswana will be another one. And we'll see by the end of next week which other groups in various countries are going to be able to interact and to see if the feedback is useful to be shared during November. But obviously we need to put most of the time available for going in depth to a number of issues, such as those as I explained, because that's the only time that we have during the year to do so at a group level. Obviously we'll have the annual general meeting on Friday afternoon, we will have the award of the CPTM 2013 companions, and with the help of our team, you will be able, those who are not going to be present, to be part and parcel of the 3 days. So please, once again, do put your in your diary these 3 days of 6, 7 and 8 and of November. Also, our team has been able to again invite you yesterday to make known your CPTM Smart Partners profile, and they made available an online registering for your profile. Your profile, the CPTM Smart Partners profile, as we know, is not necessarily all your CV. That kind of also is useful, but you may wish to specifically relate your current preoccupations, your professional, and whatever other relevant issues to the CPTM Smart Partnership Strategic Frameworks. I have mentioned already some of the reading tips, so with this I'm going to look forward next week to the various interactions, and probably I'll come back once again for the countdown. We will have only another 2 weeks after next week. So have a good day and have a good weekend.